Picture this. You plant your first seed, you water it, you wait, and then something grows. That moment, that tiny green sprout pushing up through the soil, it rewires your brain. Suddenly, you don't just want a garden, you want more. More food, more systems, more self-sufficiency, more life coming from your own land. That's exactly what happened to me, and today I'm going to take you through every single upgrade, every system, every hard lesson that turned a neglected piece of land into a thriving, productive, almost self-sufficient growing operation. I'm breaking it down into levels, like a game, because honestly, that's exactly what this felt like. Each upgrade unlocked the next. Each mistake taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. Let's start at level 1. Every garden starts with a decision, not a perfect plan, not the right tools, not the right season, just a decision. Mine started with a patch of compacted, neglected soil. No structure, no amendments, no idea what I was doing. I threw some compost down, pulled the weeds I could see, and planted directly into the ground with a no-till approach. Did it go perfectly? Absolutely not. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The purpose of level 1 isn't to grow the most food. It's to start learning the language of your land. What drains fast, what holds moisture, where the sun actually hits. You cannot skip level 1. And if you're there right now, good. Stay humble, stay curious, and keep going. There's an old saying that goes, the best time to plant a fruit tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. I took that seriously early on, because if you're growing annuals, tomatoes, beans, squash, you're starting from scratch every single year. But perennials, fruit trees, berry bushes, asparagus, herbs that come back on their own, those are investments. You plant them once and they pay you back for decades. My advice is don't wait until your annual garden is perfect before you start putting in perennials. Do it simultaneously. Plant the berry canes this season. Put in 2 fruit trees. Start a patch of strawberries. Future you will be absolutely grateful. Berries especially are underrated. Some varieties will produce fruit in their very first season. You don't have to wait years to taste the reward. Let me ask you something. Where does your kitchen waste go right now? If the answer is the trash bin, you're literally throwing gold into a landfill. Composting was one of the first real systems I built, and I started about as simple as it gets. A basic pre-made bin, kitchen scraps, garden trimmings, wood chips. That's it. Was it enough to feed my whole garden? No, not even close. I still had to bring in outside compost for years. But that's not the point. The point is you learn. You learn what breaks down fast, what takes forever, how to balance greens and browns, how to manage moisture. And over time, your system improves, your soil improves, and you start to feel in a very real, very tangible way that you're closing a loop. Waste becomes fertility, and that changes how you see everything. This one is overlooked by almost every beginner. You cannot grow food without light. I had to make some hard calls early on about what was taking up space and blocking sun in my growing area. Trees, overgrown shrubs, structures, things that seemed permanent turned out to be obstacles. The key question to ask yourself is this: what is this space actually capable of if I removed what's blocking it? Sometimes maximizing your garden means letting go of something that doesn't serve the growing mission anymore. And often, when you do, you find you've unlocked enormous potential, space for more beds, more fruit trees, more sun-hungry crops that simply couldn't thrive before. Don't be afraid to redesign. Your garden is not a museum. It's a living, evolving system. Here's the brutal truth about growing your own food. If you can't preserve it, you'll waste a huge portion of what you grow. There will be weeks when your garden produces more zucchini, tomatoes, or herbs than you could ever eat fresh. And then there will be months in winter when you'd give anything for a jar of something you grew yourself. Preservation is the bridge between those two realities, and it doesn't require a fancy setup to start. A shelf in a cool, dark spot, some mason jars, a basic understanding of fermentation, dehydration, or water bath canning. Start with one method: fermented pickles, dried herbs, a simple tomato sauce in the freezer. As your harvests grow, your preservation skills will grow too, and what you eat in January will start to taste a lot more like August in the garden. That is one of the most satisfying feelings in this entire lifestyle.
This is the level where everything gets cheaper, and honestly, a lot more magical. Buying transplants from nurseries is expensive. I know, I did it for a long time. And when you're buying 6 packs of tomatoes or peppers at $4 to $6 each, it adds up fast. Starting from seed changes all of that. A single seed packet often costs less than one transplant, and it contains 30, 50, sometimes 100 seeds. You'll need a few basics: a grow light setup, some trays, a decent seed starting mix, and patience. The learning curve is real. You will lose seedlings at first. Damping off, leggy growth, timing issues, all of it is part of the education. But once you dial it in, you'll be growing varieties you can't find at any nursery. You'll be starting crops weeks before the season begins, and you'll understand your plants on a fundamentally deeper level because you've been with them since day one. Let's talk about something nobody wants to spend money on, but absolutely has to: protection. Deer, rabbits, groundhogs, birds, squirrels, aphids, caterpillars. The list of things that want to eat your garden is genuinely humbling. And here's the hard lesson: it only takes one night for deer to undo weeks of work. I learned this the painful way. My biggest single investment in the garden, bigger than any bed, any greenhouse, any tool, was proper perimeter fencing, tall enough to stop deer, buried deep enough to stop diggers. And the return on that investment has been extraordinary. Not a single deer loss since then. Whatever your main pest pressure is, solve it decisively and early. A cheap temporary solution will frustrate you for years. A proper solution, even an expensive one, will give you peace of mind for the rest of your growing life. There comes a point in every gardener's journey where you look at your in-ground beds and think, what if I just gave myself more control? That's what raised beds do. They give you control over your soil from the ground up. You're not fighting clay. You're not battling hardpan. You fill those beds with exactly the mix you want, and your plants respond immediately. I built mine from untreated cedar, 2x6s stacked 2 high, 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. That 4-foot width is crucial. You should always be able to reach the center from either side without ever stepping in. Compaction is the enemy of roots. These beds have been the highest producing, most reliable part of my entire garden. Year after year, they just perform. Good structure, good soil, good drainage. It almost doesn't matter what you plant. Things just grow. If you are serious about self-sufficiency, animals are eventually going to enter the conversation. For most people starting out, chickens are the natural first step, and for good reason. They provide eggs, they provide fertility for your garden, they eat pests, they convert kitchen scraps into something useful, and they're genuinely entertaining to observe. Now, I want to be honest with you. Animals add responsibility. They require daily attention, they need secure housing, they need protection from predators, and predators are relentless and creative. But the rewards are real. Fresh eggs from hens you've raised and cared for taste different from store eggs in a way that's hard to explain until you've experienced it. And watching your chickens scratch through your compost pile, then using that compost to grow food that then becomes kitchen scraps that feed the chickens again, that closed loop is deeply satisfying in a way that nothing else in this lifestyle quite matches. If you get chickens, please take security seriously from day one. I lost birds early on because of gaps in a system I thought was good enough. It wasn't. Predators are patient, smart, and motivated. Raccoons will work at a latch for hours. Foxes will find the one weak point in your run. Hawks will wait until the moment your birds are most exposed. Hardware cloth, not chicken wire, buried at least a foot underground around the perimeter. A fully enclosed overhead cover, a sturdy coop door that latches securely at night. These aren't optional extras, they're the foundation. Build it right once and you won't have to grieve the loss of an animal you raised from a chick. That's a cost, emotionally and financially, that is absolutely worth avoiding. Let me introduce you to a principle that will carry you far in this lifestyle. Automate anything that doesn't require your direct attention so you can give your attention to the things that do. Water is the perfect example. For animals, automatic waterers that refill themselves, stay fresh, and don't freeze in winter, these are game changers. For gardens, drip irrigation on timers means your beds get consistent, efficient moisture whether you're home or not. Hand watering is meditative, and I still do it sometimes, but relying on it entirely means one missed day in August heat can cost you a crop. Systems remove that risk. The goal is not to remove yourself from the garden. The goal is to remove the urgent, repetitive tasks so that when you are in the garden, you're observing, learning, harvesting, and enjoying. That's the version of this lifestyle worth working toward. Here's the real secret that separates productive gardens from struggling ones. It's not the seeds, it's not the weather, it's the soil. And building living, fertile soil is an ongoing practice, not a one-time fix. Animal manure composted into your beds, worm castings, cover crops that fix nitrogen and protect bare soil over winter, mulching with wood chips to feed the fungal networks underground. These are the inputs that compound over time. Every year, your soil should be better than last year. That's the trajectory you're aiming for. And when you start to see your soil transform from compacted, lifeless dirt into dark, crumbly, earthy-smelling biology, that's when you know you're doing something real. The plants will tell you, when the soil is right, things just grow. A garden you don't enjoy walking through is a garden you'll avoid, and a garden you avoid doesn't get the attention it needs to thrive. Invest in your pathways, not just for aesthetics, although beauty matters and we'll talk about that, but for function. You're going to walk these paths